The Whispering Shard. Some cracks don't just break the ground, they speak your sins, and when they widen, your guilt casts a shadow. Vira Holt woke to the splinter at 2:41 a.m., a sharp, grinding crack splitting the silence of her coastal warehouse studio. The studio, a cavernous brick shell on a fog-drenched pier in Maine, was her creative sanctuary, cluttered with cameras, lighting rigs, and tattered scripts for her YouTube channel, Shards of Dread, where she spun fictional thrillers and probed haunted fractures for 265,000 subscribers. She flicked on the desk lamp, its light slicing across the warped floorboards, and saw it. A crack, jagged and pulsing, etching a sigil into the wood that hummed like a wound. It hadn't been there when she'd collapsed after editing a video about cursed rifts. The warehouse was locked, the windows barred, the ocean's murmur faint outside. Vira's heart pounded as she knelt, the sigil twisting, whispering a mystery she'd buried. "Vira, you betrayed her." She laughed, a brittle reflex against the fear coiling in her chest, but the sound was drowned by the hum. She was a storyteller, her channel built on crafting dread, not succumbing to it. Yet this was too vivid, too personal. Her phone buzzed on the workbench, a notification from no sender. Touch it now. The air grew heavy, thick with a scent like salt and something acrid, like blood. Vira wasn't reckless. She'd filmed in haunted docks, narrated tales of forbidden cracks for her series Fractured Nightmares. But this was intimate, the crack too alive, its edges crawling like a living thing. The sigil pulsed, the crack forming a pendant, silver and etched with a claw pattern, shimmering in the wood's grain. The whisper named it, "You broke her vow." Vira's stomach churned. The pendant was familiar. Her friend Lila Draven had worn one like it, a token from their film school pact to always share their visions. Lila had died 4 years ago in a pier collapse. Vira had survived. They'd been filming a high-risk shoot for her channel. Lila warning about the rotting beams, Vira pushing for a dramatic scene under the moonlight. The pier buckled, and Vira escaped, telling rescuers she'd tried to save Lila, but she'd fled, too scared to crawl back through. The debris for her, the whisper sharpened, Lila's voice now low and accusing. "You stole my tide." Vira's laptop flared, playing footage she hadn't shot. The pier, Lila trapped, her pendant glinting, a shadow stirring in the wreckage. The crack widened, and the pendant appeared on the floor, its claw glowing, warm as a pulse. Her phone flickered, showing a live feed of the warehouse filmed from an impossible angle above. Her face pale, the crack glowing like a scar. She looked up, no camera, just rusted beams. The feed shifted, showing Lila behind her, gray and broken, her pendant gleaming. Vira spun, but the warehouse was empty, the whisper in the crack. "Hold it." Her hands trembled, guilt surging, like a wave. She hadn't just survived, she'd lied, claiming Lila ignored her warnings, hiding her ambition. She'd built Shards of Dread on stories that erased Lila's vision, profiting from her death as her subscriber count soared. The crack deepened, naming her sins. Vira laughing on the pier, Lila's screams buried by the collapse. She grabbed epoxy and sealed the floor, the sigil vanishing, but it split open, louder, the pendant glowing brighter, the whisper deafening. "You gave her to them." A shadow whispered in the corner, its form blurred, its voice echoing the crack. The warehouse shook, the walls groaning, a door forming where her lighting rig stood, its frame etched with claws. It wasn't in the warehouse's layout, wasn't real. Vira clutched the pendant, its metal searing her palm, and the door swung open, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. The whisper roared, "Find her." She didn't want to go, Every instinct screamed to run, but the pendant pulsed, the crack's glow searing her mind. She grabbed her flashlight, its beam trembling, and stepped onto the stairs, the door slamming shut. The staircase was stone, its walls carved with claws, flickering with the pendant's light. The air was cold, smelling of brine and blood, like the pier's wreckage. The flashlight caught Lila's face in the walls, her eyes accusing, her pendant glowing. Vira's chest ached, tears spilling. She hadn't meant to let Lila die, hadn't meant to lie. But the truth was worse. She'd craved fame, Lila's caution a burden she'd shed. The stairs spiraled deeper, the walls closing in, the air growing heavier. She stumbled, the flashlight skittering across the stone, its beam catching carvings of their film school days. Vira and Lila in the editing suite, framing shots, laughing over cheap coffee, their pendants glinting in sync. The memory stung, a reminder of the pact she'd broken, the trust she'd traded for views. The stairs ended at a chamber vast and shadowed, its ceiling lost in darkness. At its center stood a plinth, the pendant resting on it, glowing brighter, the crack snaking across the floor. Lila's voice echoed, "You traded me." Vira approached, her legs heavy, the whisper pounding in her skull. She reached for the pendant and the chamber shook, the walls morphing into the pier, its beams collapsing, waves crashing below. The flashlight died, the pendant's glow the only light. The shadow emerged, not Lila but Vira herself, her face pale, her voice whispering the same sigil. "You gave me to them," the shadow said, its voice her own, layered with something ancient, ravenous. Vira backed away, the pendant burning, naming her sins, abandoning Lila, stealing her shots, running from guilt. A memory surged, the pact, Vira and Lila vowing to share their art, sealed with the pendant. Vira had broken it, whispering to the dark she'd trade anything for a viral hit. The pier closed in, the shadow's hands cold, pulling Vira into the crack. The pendant glowed, its claw rewriting her life. Her channel erased, her name forgotten, her warehouse gone. She fought, her screams drowned by the whisper, but the crack was endless. She woke in the pier's ruins, dawn breaking over shattered wood. Her warehouse was gone, her phone blank, the pendant cold around her neck, the claw etched on her skin. Footprints, small and damp, led into the fog. Vira followed and found a shard of wood half buried, its crack etching her face, glowing with guilt. A whisper followed, her own voice. "You're theirs." Lila's voice lingered inside her, a shard she'd never silence. Morning came and her studio was empty, her digital footprint wiped. The police found a burn mark in the ruins, shaped like a claw. Locals whispered of a woman in the fog wearing a pendant, waiting for someone to touch it. Vira's neighbor heard scraping at night, a crack humming in an empty warehouse. Somewhere in a place of dust and sea, Vira stands, the pendant around her neck, her crack widening, whispering her failures. Her own shadow watches, its smile eternal, its voice a constant hum. The worst part, the thing that keeps her trapped, is the truth she'll never know. The shadow wasn't Lila's, it was Vira's, voiced by her guilt, a debt she'd never repay. Would you touch it? Comment to confess and tag a friend who'd face the shard. Follow for more